Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. My name is Jonathan. I'm here with Alex and Jerome. How y'all doing today?
You got to pick a person. Who are you talking to?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm chilling. I'm doing good. I got some tea, so
I do too. Well, mine's iced tea.
And I have no tea to spill. Or maybe, do we have some tea in this LA trip? Anyway, we're talking about today on
got
this lovely day,
got my
this
wand,
lovely sunny
so
day.
I'm prepared for this.
Yep, Jerome got his
Mine's just
visiting
like
wand.
arm reach. Well,
Well,
Jonathan, go ahead. Go ahead.
we'll get back
Today
to
we're
that.
going to be talking about so a couple of days ago slash almost a week ago slash more than a week ago.
About a week
Alex,
ago,
that's so 2017.
Yo, comment if
Anyway,
you remember that song.
Alex and Jerome visited me here in LA, Los Angeles, City of Angels, for the weekend, and we had a good time. We had some entertaining moments, some chill moments, some fun moments, and overall, it was just a moment. Alex, how was your time in LA?
It was a good moment. No, it was a nice break from everything that's going on, and it was nice to see you in person. And we got to meet Gibson, who I loved. He was a little racist towards me at the
And he
beginning.
loved you.
No, it took him a second. After I played with him for like a solid hour, I think.
I think it is that you gave him all that attention, and then eventually, but I was like, I petted him a couple times, but I wasn't like playing with him for the first couple of days. So I think he was just like, "Hey, you, why are you ignoring me? What, you think you're cool or something? Come over here.
Literally
I'm
the
cute." Dang
first day we were there, the first night, I was trying to play with him, and when I would throw the toy, he would grab it and then run to Jerome, put it down in front of him. Jerome's like doing something on his tablet. I'm like, what? I threw it. Come back with it. So I was a little offended, and he startled me a couple times because when I woke up, he was just staring at me. But other than that, yeah. I mean, I did get a little sad during the trip because I had to leave Cheddar with my sister, which wasn't bad. They set up a little camera so I could check in on him. Usually it was anytime I viewed, he was just chilling on their couch watching TV. I learned he likes to try guys without a recipe. That is his favorite thing. But I think it's just baking shows he likes because my sister's roommate, Mario, he had like three people petting him and giving him all the love. So I felt better. He would come by where the cat was because they also have three dogs. So Cheddar had to be kept in a separate area. And he would hang out with him for like a couple hours just watching baking shows or cooking shows. And I was like, okay, so it's not maybe the Try Guys. Cheddar just likes watching cooking shows. My cat likes cooking shows. And also I'm a Harry Potter one. But like, yeah, no, it was a really nice experience. It was just nice to be out. It was so freaking hot at times. I forgot because I lived in LA like 5 years ago. I think it was even more than that.
I think more
Oh
than that
crap! I think it was
because we started at the Science Center in 2014,
It was
and
10 years ago.
that was 7 years ago.
That was 10 years ago then. Oh, I'm so old. Um, I forgot how hot it was. I visited a couple times, but like not in August. That's too hot. But it's still nice to see you.
Nice. And Jerome, overall, your non-spoiler review of LA.
Okay.
Because we're gonna go into the nitty-gritty soon. So
I suppose. It was fun. I've never been to LA before, so this is a great first time experience. I got to do so much in such a little amount of time, and yet I feel like I got to really explore the city and take in like the LA vibes, I guess.
Really quick though, Jerome did not tell us that this was his first time to California. Now.
I did tell you
did
that.
not.
Y'all just didn't
Okay,
remember that
I would agree with you.
I don't recall. I like vaguely have something in my mind, but maybe I don't know if I'm just remembering
No,
it.
see, if it was me and I forgot, I'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah, you probably told me. But if he doesn't remember either, then it's like, okay, you didn't tell us. He told me like as we were landing, and I was like, oh yeah, well you know what it's like in LA. And you're like, no, I've never been here. I'm like, what? They're like, I've never been to California. I'm like, what? I'm like, so this trip is also like your first time for like why didn't you say something? But
See something said.
anyway,
For the record, y'all, I said something. All right.
you did not. You did.
Regardless, it was a good time. It was good to all three of us be in person since like the pandemic started. I think that was the last time we were all in person, was like recording our last few like in-person episodes before, I want to say April or May.
Well, we did. Oh, are you talking about this past April or May? Because we did do Mortal Kombat when we went to
Oh,
your
that's
house.
true. We did do Mortal Kombat. That's right.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was, so that was cool. And then I feel like, we got to see some really like iconic stuff that everybody goes to see, like the Hollywood Walk and that sort of stuff. But then also some fun stuff that was out the way that you guys thought of to do. That was really cool. So overall, I had a great time.
Nice. So I guess let's all say our three highlights.
Yeah, I don't know why we're being all coy like this is a movie review. We're just talking about a location.
No, because we did a lot. We did so much. So I think it'll be nice to like reminisce on what we did. So my favorite highlight was probably going to Universal Studios, because that was a blast.
Bruises the next day, but I did enjoy it.
Those rides, first of all, they spray you with water on every single ride. And
My theory still stands that it's just Jonathan. Jonathan brings
I want to know
on
how
the
it's just me.
Because every ride
Because I was on the
on,
same exact ride as
listen,
Alex.
even when we went to the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, we still got sprayed. Why? Because Jonathan was there.
But Alex was there too.
Jalapeno smelling water too.
Yeah, it smelled like
Am I
jalapeno
really
nacho
ever there?
cheese.
It did. It really did. But am I ever really present? I like zone out. Best part of Universal is I want to tell the story is so during the pandemic I've gained weight, especially in the upper area sometimes. And what was it? The hippopotamus ride?
Harry Potter.
What is the Harry Potter? No, the Harry Potter ride. What's it called? The flight of the.
I don't remember what it was called.
I don't remember what it was called. I just called it the Harry Potter ride the whole time I was there.
I thought you were confusing hippopotamus with Harry Potter.
No, it's called Flight of the something. Well, when you're on the ride, you go upside down, they flip you around. There's a lot of safety measures, which is perfectly fine, and I understand. But you have to like do 3 clicks of safety for yourself, and just bring it down. I unfortunately could not do that due to my assets on the top.
Well,
So
they
Jonathan-
didn't specify that like we
They
could
didn't,
help
they
each
really-
other, like because once Jonathan helped like push it down, like we got it clicked in and you weren't like squished or anything, right?
No, if anything, it just made me sit up straight, which actually felt really nice on my back. So I didn't actually mind it at all. I was like, oh, that actually feels pretty good.
Yeah.
It's called.
So I think they should be more clear about that next time. It's like, hey,
But
if the thing isn't clicking, ask your
right, because like I
partners
did
to like help you push it down.
they're like, well, go there. I'm like, I can't, because if I slouch, this goes forward, which is my issue in the first place. So they're like, oh, you can have a friend just push it down. And I'm like, cool. I did feel a little embarrassed because like, great, I like couldn't fit into the ride thanks to my upper area. But at the same time, I was like, this ride's actually really fun. This is fine. And like it flips you upside down for a little bit. So I completely understand their safety measures. And I wasn't mad at all. I was a little embarrassed for a little bit, but like it was still a really fun ride to go on. No, all the rides, their safety bars, and their safety things forced me to actually sit up really straight. So my legs were killing me at Universal Studios from all the walking around, from all the whipping about they have you do. Because a lot of times a good amount of your the rides, your legs are kind of hanging about.
They
Um,
thrash you. They thrash you around
they
like
really
no
do.
other.
Uh, but then I was like, oh, my lower back actually feels pretty good because I'm like I'm sitting.
I will
It
say,
was fun. I told Alex, I was like, we got your back, and I it ended up like working out, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
to
was
say
like,
I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, I love mostly just because I haven't seen like the original series of movies. I've only seen the Fantastic Beasts one so far. Um, it was fun, man. I got into it. I got into that ride. It's so fun to feel like I'm a wizard. That's why I bought the wand.
Harry
And
Potter and the
now,
Forbidden Journey. That's what the ride's called. Go ahead.
I was
and
I was
now, like, be on the lookout for. It did give me an idea of like doing like a Harry Potter reaction series of like me reacting to like all the movies for the first time. So be on the lookout for that to hit the channel at some point on the YouTube. Also,
You know what else is forbidden on the journey?
what's that?
Seeing eyesight. Like it was dark.
Oh
in
yeah.
there.
You could not
Alex,
see. I remember my eyes. I was just like, "There's no way these kids go to school here." And it's because it's
Right.
supposed to. So for those who haven't been on the ride, it's
in the
supposed to be like
queue,
you're going into
it's
Hogwarts.
dark.
Yeah, I was like, it's so dark in there though. I'm like, there's no way these kids go to school here. They can't even see when they go down the
Yeah,
hall.
no, I was like in front of you guys, and you're like, I can hear you guys going like, "Oh, my eyes are slightly adjusting." I'm like, "Great." I think it was Jonathan. I grabbed him, pushed him in front of me, and I grabbed his arm. I was like, "You lead," because I can't see shit. Because my eyes were not It was so dark to me. I have kind of bad eyes, and even when I wear my contacts, it's just
I
bad
know you
vision
were
all
holding
around.
on to me when I was walking. When I was walking, were you holding on to Jerome too
I was behind her.
when we were walking?
No,
Okay,
I was holding on to you, and I was like kept
holding the rail
grabbing
and
the
whatever.
railing because I literally was blind. Um,
Yeah,
I
that's
But
couldn't see
another
where
thankfully,
thing.
you. Yeah,
I will say
continue.
also, if you do go to Universal, and this probably also applies for Disney World as well, get you the Express or Fast Pass, like whatever it is, get you that. It's going to be expensive. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be expensive, but let me tell you something. It's worth it because I don't think we would have gotten to do half of what we did at Universal without that Express Pass. Like it's like that line for Harry Potter was what 85 minutes if we didn't
85
have the
minutes.
Express Pass.
And that was towards the beginning of, because that was the second ride we rode on. And that
Right,
was
and we
towards
were
the
there at
beginning
like
of the day.
what 12 by the time we hit Harry Potter World. It was like 12 o'clock or
It
so.
was like 12 o'clock once we got in line, I think. And
Yeah.
it only got worse than that, I can imagine, later in the day.
I
Mm-hmm.
think it was a little bit later than that because when we bought the Fast Pass or I don't know what they're called at Universal. There, the
Yeah,
guy
the
was
Express
like,
Pass
"Oh
is the
yeah,
Universal Express Pass.
oh okay." The guy we bought them from, remember, was like, "Oh, things are getting worse because it's after lunchtime, so they're only gonna get worse." And apparently on like Saturday, Sunday, and I think even like Mondays, they do virtual lines to not have people standing in line. I was like, "Wow, that's intense."
Yeah, Disney
Yeah.
does that, I think, exclusively for like most of their big rides now. Like all their like Avenger stuff, Star Wars stuff, it's like virtual.
I do know that they have like a bracelet or like an app you can get, and you're just like, come to your ride at like 8 p.m. or whatever. So I do know they have like something like that.
That's what the Express Pass should be. It should be a bracelet. So I'm just gonna out you, Jerome. Jerome lost his
It
at
was the
one
curse of the
point.
tight pants. All right.
Twice.
Whenever you pull one thing out, everything comes out. And I did lose my Express
No,
Pass.
you dropped it. You dropped it. I found it, and I was like, I'm gonna keep it. And you're like, no, because you're an adult, and then I gave it back to you. And literally, what was it? Like the next ride we were trying to get on, he
It was
didn't
the
have
Mummy.
it. It was a mummy.
Yeah.
That
Thankfully,
was the
the
next
staff
one.
was very accommodating, and they were able.
And I
had the
did
receipt.
hold on to my receipt. I kept the receipt.
So they gave him a new
thankfully
one.
they could just print me out another one as long as I had the receipt. So it's all good.
Yeah. So some other person was ditching their family that day with an Express Pass, and was like, "I'm getting to the front of the line because I found
The
this on
only
the ground."
thing about the Express Pass I will say is that if you have the Express Pass, you might miss out on some of the cool stuff that's in the queue. Because like we did the Secret Life of Pets ride first. It's the first thing we did when we got there. And that queue was so cool. Like you got to see, like you got to meet all like the pets, and it's kind of like you're walking through the apartments that are in the movie. So you get to see like some of the dog, like animatronics of the dogs, and there was one that was like of Kevin Hart as the bunny, like telling jokes and stuff on the way up. So it was like really neat. You know, there's like stuff to look at as you're waiting in line, so you don't get bored on your way to the ride. So and Hogwarts was the same thing for the Harry Potter ride, where you can like see the paintings like come to life or whatever, just like in the movie, and that was really cool. So it's like there is stuff to look at. It's just one of those things though where it's like that's just to keep your mind busy while you're on the way
For the Harry Potter ride, I don't know why they even bother, because you can't see anything.
Really, for real.
Although I did learn fun thing. I went to the eye doctor yesterday because I've been having some irritation, and I was like, oh, maybe there's just something stuck in there. I went to the eye doctor. I have dry spots in my eyes. It might be why my vision has been crappy lately. And I was like, oh, I have dry eyes. She's like, no, you have dry spots. There are random spots on my eyeballs that are dry. Like, if something wrong with me could be a normal wrong with me, that would be fantastic. Every time something's wrong with me, it's like the weirdest thing. And it's just like, oh, how, why? There's no reason for any of this. There's a point where thankfully Jerome and Jonathan at the end of the whole trip, we had walked a long way. My leg was killing me. My foot was killing me. And one of the reasons my foot kills me so bad is because I'm actually missing a little bone in my foot that's supposed to help support your feet. And I'm like, I'm missing a tiny little bone. I was just born without it. And I'm like, what? How stupid is that? A little bone's causing my foot to swell and be painful. And I'm like, that's stupid. My leg was killing me the whole ride because we walked so much. Like the first day there, a lot of walking. First day there, we did we kind of did more of the touristy stuff on Thursday when we first arrived.
Which thankfully that was good that we got that out the way in the weekday, because I can't imagine doing that stuff on the weekend when like there's even more people. So it's already pretty busy.
Was amazed so we went to the Funko Hollywood store. There's the main headquarters.
Real quick, while we're talking about that, my damn arch nemesis was there. Who am I talking about? Cole Young from Mortal Kombat was there waiting for me.
They had two versions of him.
No, they only had the one.
Oh, okay. Oh no, maybe I was
one.
just. Okay.
Listen, if there was two versions, I'd be even more mad. All right, there should only ever be one version of this man. But now he sits on my desk as a constant reminder of why Mortal Kombat, the first movie, sucks. But it's cool. It cements a chapter in my life of when I did this podcast.
And the Funko store was cool.
I didn't get him at the Funko store. This is Todd from BoJack Horseman. I just decided he's going to be with me today.
The employees were like dancing in the store.
They were playing the Space Jam theme. You can't not dance when Space Jam it on. You know, when
I told you, yes, you can. I did not have one beat.
The dance starts.
I didn't do anything. I didn't even like wiggle my toes.
We also went to the wax museum.
Yeah,
sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say with the Funko Hollywood, it was insane the amount of things people were buying. Like I bought two things.
I did too. I also got little Nightcrawler from X2.
Which I didn't know Funko made bobbleheads. And then I got, this is a long story, but I'm not getting into that. And I was like, I feel like I'm getting a lot. Two things, and like I got some pins and stuff. And then I look over me. Yeah, there was a dad in line behind us with like a cart, and I'm talking they had like laundry basket carts filled to the brim with Funko Pops, and then he had his son coming with like an armful. I was like, what are you doing with them? Why? What purpose? Are you just reselling? Like, what is going on? I always want to be like, I wanted to ask them, but I figured that was not appropriate. And like, when I got to the register and the guy checked me out, I was like, oh, can I have a bag for my little stuff? And he was like, yeah, of course, I wouldn't do that to you. I'm like, well, I don't know. It's the end of the day. You might be out. I'm like, I can see what's going on around me. You're out. I completely understand. And he's like, oh, this isn't even the worst of it. He's like, I've seen worse. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with people? Like, these are cute and fun. Oh my God, yeah, that's right. It was a Thursday.
I didn't get anything at the Funko store, but Alex did get me this. Oh, it's blurred out. It's censored.
That's right. That's extra sensory working out on our favorite.
Damn.
Alex did get me this
MTV knows.
MTV pin. And I'm gonna put it somewhere.
Yeah, the Funko Hollywood store was really cool. I love that there's all the figures around, like giant size versions of like the Funko figures that you could possibly buy, or at the very least were just in poses and stuff. And like each section had like a theme. Like there was a horror section, Marvel section, DC section. It was really cool.
Some of the Disney section was like really pretty. They really did that well. Like, just saying well. I think it was really well done, and it was just laid out, and they had a good fantasy world. But yeah, people were intense.
Yeah.
The Wax Museum freaked me out.
It freaked me out because
it.
the first floor, like, remember, like we had there's people, it just looks like a nightclub, and there's the wax figures. And if it was for the fact that other people were up there, I was like, it freaked me out because I'm like, okay, they're moving. Why aren't these people moving? Oh, those aren't people, those are wax figures.
Yeah, they send you up to the 4th floor and you basically make your way down. But on the 4th floor, it's just a room of wax figures. And then once you get to the lower rooms, there's like themed rooms. But once you get to that 4th floor, it's basically like they shock you and then you'll get used to it.
Also, I wanted to let you know we went to the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum in Hollywood because there also is just a general Hollywood Wax Museum as well. So we went to the Madame Tussauds one.
Which is the more official one from what I know.
Yeah. It was a great time though. It was fun. Those wax figures are really like, while yes, like up close they look maybe a little creepy. At the same time though, I do have to give a shout out to the artistry. Like they got them down to the teeth. The detail is that close that they literally have like looked at their teeth and then got that right, and then even did staining on the teeth. Like that's crazy to me.
There was one wax figure, I can't remember. I came out of the bathroom and you're like, look at his teeth. They're
Obama.
like, it's so deep. Obama?
Obama.
Yeah, they're like, I think you guys were like, it's so white, but they had the yellow staining from the cigarette smoke he used to. And
I did not real.
They're like, look at his teeth. I'm like, I'm not looking at his teeth.
Yeah, and I did not realize how tall he was. That was another thing in the Wax Museum, just seeing how short or tall some of the celebrities were, because, you can't really tell on TV or in movies sometimes. So just being able to see how tall or short they were in comparison, and see on the outside the Chinese theater, the imprints of some of the celebrities, how small or big their hands and feet were.
I have the same size feet as Burt Reynolds. I learned that. That was not my proud moment.
Yeah, that was cool too, seeing the Chinese theater, seeing all the handprints and stuff. That was great.
And how they like upkeep them, especially the ones in like the 20s and 30s. It's like, dang, how do you keep these restored, especially when people are interacting with them every single day?
Yeah, people are walking over them, people are touching them.
It's also hard to keep your eyes on anything on that street with all the stars on the sidewalk, because you just want to like look down and like see all the names you could recognize.
That's true too. I think we were just naming people as we were walking. I burned my hand on Leonard Nimoy's star, or his handprint. Remember?
It was hot. That because you kept touching the hot ground.
No, it was just Leonard Nimoy's handprint. I was like, ooh, and I stuck my hand like flat on it, and I took a picture, and it really did kind of burn me a little bit. My hand was a little sensitive for a little bit because it was in the sun and the sun was still beating on it. And yeah, no, that was all me. I did what I did, but I don't regret it.
Okay.
Yeah, the Hollywood Walk of Fame was cool, and that was a great part of the trip. Also, real quick, we got to talk about. We went to this restaurant recommended by Jonathan called Castaway, right?
Yeah, it's Castaway.
Listen, if y'all ever go to Castaway, first of all, get your reservation because we did run into a couple who didn't have a reservation and they were kind of
Yeah, that was
it was
embarrassing
funny.
for
It was
them.
weird to walk past them and I'm like, look at these millennials, like look at us millennials walk past this older couple who
Oh, they
probably
were
should
like,
I
know
mean, if it
to get a
helps,
reservation better than we should.
they did get a seat at the bar.
They
I did
did.
see that,
oh
but
yeah.
they were the
They did
only
get a
ones,
seat.
and they weren't really taken care of that well.
The guy was
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, we
anyway.
recommend reserving 2 weeks in advance." And the couple was like, they almost looked like they were trying to fight it, like they were trying to get their way in somehow.
Well, they did the classic thing of like, well, we see a table right there.
Right.
Why can't we just sit right there?
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
like it's like that's not how a restaurant with reservations works. Just because you see an open table don't mean it's not reserved. That's why reservations exist. But nonetheless, if you go to Castaway, let me tell you something. Get the chicken and waffles. You will not be disappointed. All right. I was
You will
expecting
not be not full.
yeah, I was expecting to get like half like like some chicken tenders or something. Nah, they gave me a whole half a chicken, y'all. Whole half a chicken on top of a waffle. I'm like, that's bread already. That's gonna be filling in and of itself. And y'all gave me half a chicken? Like, it's just me by myself. And I made the mistake of thinking it was gonna be chicken tenders. So I also got garlic fries too. You know how much food I had? I had so much food.
I had
Listen,
caviar for the first time.
I did. I try. Jonathan let me try his caviar. The next day, Jerome gave me a bit of his chicken. Well, no. So caviar, disgusting. I don't like it. 3 points. Caviar is disgusting. The guy in my shirt now is the mummy, Rick O'Connell, Brendan Fraser, hanging out in there now. And when the next day, when Jerome was eating his chicken and waffles, I was like, "Oh, can I have like a little piece of the chicken? Because I want to try the sauce." Because he kept saying how good the sauce was on the chicken. You went and gave me this big chunk that's like you handed me like just a portion of the bone in it or something.
Listen, it was
And I was like,
so-
oh, I
there was
bet
so
like a
much.
little sliver. You just were like, oh, here. And I was like, oh, this is still like a bone and like all this. I just meant like a little bit of the
You
gave
ate the
me
whole
goosebumps.
thing though, didn't you?
It was
It
very
was,
good. No,
it was
I
that
agree.
good. It was so
It
good.
was that good. I got a burger, but I got like garlic fries. Of course, I can't resist garlic in general. And I got a little tipsy on mimosas, which were great. I had the watermelon mimosas, and I wanted to try the mint and cucumber one, but they were out of cucumber, which I was really sad about. But then I got like a gothic looking one, which was active charcoal and lavender. I didn't like it as much as like the watermelon one, but like it was still actually really good. And just that whole place, it was like basically what, like $60 a person?
Yeah, I think with everything we ordered, it came to about $60 a person.
Yeah, because I also ordered like a little. I thought I was gonna get like a strip or two of bacon on the side. I was like, oh, I kind of want some. They brought me like 6 or 7 pieces or something. And I was like, oh, this is like a full plate of stuff. And I wasn't prepared for that. But
Yes.
it was still really good. Like,
So if you go to
service was good.
Castaway, they don't be skipping on the portions.
Nope. No, they do not.
We also went to Trejo's Donuts and Tacos or Cantaria.
Now we did. We
Did.
also did that
Yeah.
the first day too. We went to Trejo's
Mhm.
Donuts, and then the cantina, right? Or
Cantina.
okay, and
It was-
that was good too.
Mhm.
Pretty decent. Those donuts were good. Did you guys ever finish those donuts that you guys got?
I
I
finished my second donut. I think I was on like the 3rd or 4th day we were there. I went to the last bit of that donut and I was like, nope.
was it like hard?
It wasn't hard, but it was like just poor old day donut should not.
Yeah.
It was an
I-
attempt I made and it was just
I didn't eat my second one because I ate my first one and then like I think by the time, because when we were eating and stuff, like I was like, getting dessert here and like a milkshake here or whatever. So it was like it was already enough like sugar and stuff. So I didn't know when I was gonna fit that donut in. And by the time I figured out when I was gonna fit it in, it was rock solid.
Yeah, they were good though. They were good donuts.
They were
Yeah,
good.
Highly
they were
recommended.
delicious.
They were good
Highly.
fresh. They were good.
Yeah, they were fresh. And the staff was lovely too.
Yeah, they were cool
They
actually
were
at
very
both
nice.
places. We had some pretty cool. They have some pretty great staff actually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was a big chunk of it was for me because I have a weird love for Danny Trejo. Don't know why. So it was appreciated that it was like the first day. I was like, we're gonna go here, and you guys did not have any protests or any other suggestions. You're just like, yeah, okay, we'll go. We understand. You guys understand.
And Danny Trejo was. Oh, I was just gonna say we ended up watching the SpongeBob movie. Let us know in the comments if you want us to review the SpongeBob. What was the movie?
Sponge on the Run, I think.
Sponge on the Run. If you want us to review that, because we did watch that, and spoiler alert, Danny Trejo makes an appearance in it, and we did not know that until he showed up on screen.
Dude, I didn't know anybody who made an appearance would make an appearance in that movie. I did post on our Instagram about how Keanu Reeves was a significant player in the SpongeBob movie. Like he was like part of the main cast of this movie. And it was the entire time we were like, okay, he's just appearing in this like one dream or whatever. Nope. He's in it for I think 2/3 of the film. And it was just really weird. And just every celebrity they had in there was like,
Why are you?
What are you doing? What just happened? I feel like I missed so much.
Before I forget, because we're at 33 minutes, I want to make sure to fit this in. We also took time out to watch the Suicide Squad while we were in LA. For those waiting for a full Suicide Squad review, that'll come later. But for now, you'll get, I guess, our initial thoughts or like a little bit of thoughts without spoiling too much right now. So what did you guys think of the Suicide Squad? Not to be confused with the 2016 Suicide Squad movie.
I think they could just like add a little something at the end or like notice that makes a difference. Adding the doesn't really
Right.
like
They could have differentiated it a little bit more, but here we are.
You know what I think it is because I think this was supposed to be like, because we even had this discussion where it was like, is this a sequel? Is this a reboot? I think they've been saying it's like a soft reboot in that like it doesn't denounce anything that happened in the first movie, but at the same time, it doesn't really acknowledge it either. Like they don't bring up anything that happened in that movie. It's just some of the cast in this movie that returns, like they just acknowledge that they know each other. Like Captain Boomerang knows Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn already knows Rick Flag. Like they know who
I
each
will
other
say
are.
there was that friendship between Rick Flag and Harley Quinn that was like, okay, all right. The relationship they had kind of showed that they did have past experience, that made them bond together. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was quite colorful. I was super confused by the opening sequence. Cause like, like a lot of times I had seen certain parts that involved certain actors. And I was like, okay, they're in the film, good for them. And then this opening scene happens, and I'm like, oh, they're no longer in the film. I was like, okay.
I really liked that part. I don't know, because it's just a unique way to, because it's just okay. Here's who you think is going to be the main cast. Oh, never mind. Okay, we're gonna introduce all these other people, and I think it was fun. It was unique and it was fun. But my overall thoughts on the movie, I enjoyed what I could catch of it. I was, to be honest, I was struggling, and not that much, but I was struggling a little bit to stay awake, not at any fault of the movie, but just because of the circumstances. I'd been tired. The week had been long, and we were doing a lot of fun stuff, but a lot regardless. And
then you also ate like a ton.
Ate a ton.
The itis was coming, y'all. Yeah. Only reason I was engaged is because I've been like super hyped for the Suicide Squad. So I was engaged the whole time.
So it's a good thing that it's also on HBO Max, in that I can catch it again anytime I want, if I want to watch it again. But the parts that, I did see, and I saw the movie, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was very comedic, and that's what I like to see, especially in a movie that it's taken seriously, but there are parts of it where you're definitely not supposed to take seriously, and that's what I appreciate about the movie. In that there were certain parts where, like, they didn't take it seriously, but overall, I think the movie is to be taken seriously, if that makes any sense at all.
I get what you're saying, and I will also say this about the Suicide Squad compared to Suicide Squad. When their serious moments happen, when they were doing like heart to hearts or these intense moments, they were well placed. They didn't feel like they were just happening at random, and there was no weird bonding moment like in the original Suicide Squad, where they had that weird bar scene where all of a sudden we're family because one person
Right.
told a traumatic story about their life. Um, there was a serious moment that happened a couple times, but it was well placed. It was in the moment, and they didn't just have like this group serious moment. They had their individual, like, this is why I'm telling you. It's because I'm connecting with you in this way, and things like that. So I will say they did a way better job at handling that than the Suicide Squad did to the Suicide. I hate that.
I
Genuinely hate that.
I really loved the movie. I thought it was great. As a person who's been reading the current run of Suicide Squad, this is I think the major thing I loved about it is that, like, it felt like the Suicide Squad, the comic, come to life with like all the chapter breaks and how stylized some of the editing was, and that was really cool. I love all the characters had their costume accurate to the comic, like, and it's only because it's so funny of like this gritty story, but then you have John Cena walking around in a big red and blue suit with a big metal helmet on that looks
Oh my
exactly
god,
like
there's
it
that.
does in the comics. Like, that's exactly his costume in the comic.
I will
Verbatim.
one spoiler. I will say this, and I don't mean to interrupt you. The scene where John Cena is in his tidy whities. I wasn't prepared for that, and he just stands there in it, and I'm just like,
For a solid,
somebody
like,
get this man
almost
pants or
five
like a
minutes,
long
I want to
shirt or
say.
something. Yeah, and it's just like that part felt the most distracting, and I was like, please put on pants. I get what you guys are doing, but just put pants on.
Yeah, it was a great, I really enjoyed the movie. I think and also the biggest thing also is, I do agree with you, Alex, that yeah, the dramatic stuff feels more spaced out and placed properly in this movie compared to compared to the first Suicide Squad movie. And also uh the coolest thing is that, like, it's nice to see a superhero movie where the director is just like, hey, do your thing, all hands off, like, you go ahead and make your movie and we'll back it, is which Warner Brothers did for this movie, and it's paying dividends. The reviews have come out, and almost everybody loves this movie. Even the people who don't still say it's a good movie, it just wasn't for them. um Also, referring to that opening sequence, I love that opening sequence as well, only because it does a great job of establishing this is what the Suicide Squad is. So if you're not in for this, you're not going to enjoy the rest of this movie.
Yeah, no
It
chaos. Yeah.
it reminded me a little bit of the first episode of Invincible, where
Yeah.
everybody just gets slaughtered, and it's like, what happened? I thought these were the people we were staying with for the rest of the series.
Yeah, so it was a fun time. Be on the lookout for the full the Suicide Squad review. If I have one critique though, and this is not really a critique, it's more like I didn't want the fun to end. I really wanted to see kind of, and this is the only thing in the first movie that I did like, without any question, is that we saw how the squad got arrested, like what they do, and then how they get caught. Because like King Shark's in this movie, how did they catch him? I can't imagine that process was easy. He's a giant shark man who's bulletproof. So how did they get him in jail?
I mean, just knock him out. Heavy sedatives. They probably fed him
Maybe,
something
but
and
I mean,
passed
he
out.
eats people.
What was
so...
that thing also? Was that a weasel? Also, that thing at the beginning. What was it? A
Oh
weasel
yeah,
or
that
Yeah, that's
Uh,
Weasel. Yeah, that's both his superhero name and what he is a weasel.
but like, is he an actual superhero? Does it do anything?
So it's weird because in the comics it's a man in a suit. In the show, I think or in the movie, I think he's just supposed to be just a weasel creature man thing. There is a lot of liberties taken because also Polka Dot Man in the comics is just a dude in a polka dot suit. He doesn't have real powers. Like he just is a guy in a polka dot suit who's a bank robber, I think. And then like they made him, like gave him powers in the movie.
I wanted his condition to that's one critique I have. I wanted his condition to go somewhere because he was talking about like if I don't expel these polka dots every so often, then bad things are gonna happen. And we saw like little sneak peeks of it, of him having this like reaction. But I was curious to see what happened if he wasn't able to expel it. And then
you kind of saw what happened.
Unfortunately,
he said they were going to eat him alive. So he just died. Probably.
Well, I think they brought up Stark Labs or Star Labs.
Yeah, Star Labs. Yeah, I like the references to the greater universe because you also have that reference where they say Bloodsport put Superman in the ICU with a kryptonite bullet. Yeah, which again is another comic reference that's like, that's a deep cut. Like nobody knows that except people who've either read the comic or looked up the one, like when you type in Bloodsport in Google, that's the one image that comes up of like an iconic Bloodsport moment from the comic books.
I mean, that is a simple way to kill Superman.
It's true. I mean, Batman's plan is that he has a kryptonite ring for Superman.
Did you know? I'm gonna get a little, I guess, I don't know. It's not controversial for me. Well, no, it is. There was a comic for Superman that there's pink kryptonite. Yes. It literally turns him gay.
Yes, I do know of this. Yeah.
And it was like written in 2006 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
it's not too far off.
Yeah.
I'm glad they've gotten rid of all the multicolored kryptonites. That's like no longer a thing.
Which honestly, smart on their part, you know, having that become that. But this was written in like the 2000s too, if I'm not mistaken. And that's like,
yeah, but the 2000s is back when in hip hop, Eminem and DMX were like busting out homophobic slurs in and Tyler the Creator and homophobic slurs in their music, and nobody batted an eye. They're like, oh, whatever.
No, people did that. Certain people batted an eye.
Some people did, but I'm talking, or rather, the people who should have given a damn didn't. Because they're the people that controls if that song goes out.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
You know.
But going back to superhero, I was like, still, come on. Well, no, not for comic books. Comic books I've seen, they're just like,
there's always like,
they're not, it's not the smartest
with the history of comics. Like there was a time where every in the 90s, every drawing of every woman in a comic book had a zero waist, but like super buxom features. And it's like, all right,
you know what? That never really, you know what bothered me more about all those women in those comics was the way they would have them sit down.
Yeah.
Because they would have them, they would have them, I have Funko Pops all around me right now. They have it so the legs were bent but to the side. So they were kind of like in this weird kneeling position, and they were just sitting with their backs arched all the time. And it's
Mhm.
like, I don't care if you like are at this point. It's like you're gonna be sexist, but at least have them sitting in like a human position
They sat
because
like
you
they were
can't.
posing for Playboy, basically.
Not even Playboy, they sit like that. I've seen a Playboy. They don't even sit like that. They sit like I don't know humans. That might be a thing,
In
but
fact, there's one comic artist. He like his reference for a lot of his female characters. I don't think he does work now. I can't remember his name, but his reference for females for a lot of his comics was porn. And you don't realize it until like I forget the artist's name, and those who are in the comic industry or love comics or fans of comics, they know who I'm talking about. But and it's like you put pictures of his stuff and you look at it with knowing that information, you're like, no, I see it. I see it now. I see it. And you can't unsee it. And it's so bad. I'm just like, man, like you couldn't think of any other reference. Get some other reference.
all right, let's move on
This
now.
this
Yeah.
this is random, but I guess to cap off our Suicide Squad conversation, I didn't realize that they're they're going to be releasing in January a TV series called Peacemaker with John Cena on HBO
Oh,
Max.
that's what I said when we were walking out the theater. I said, yeah, it's gonna be Peacemaker's getting his own show.
I was still wiping the crust out my eyes because it was. No, I'm just kidding. I did not sleep during the movie. I was awake the whole time. It was just.
He just
It
wasn't
was just
listening.
tough to stay awake.
It's the equivalent of just like, the lights are on, but nobody's home.
I was home. I was tired at home.
Yeah, he's getting his own Peacemaker show on HBO Max. They haven't, as far as I know, it's done filming. They just haven't approved like a season 2 though. And maybe it's because they're waiting to see how this Suicide Squad movie turns out. Or maybe they're waiting until the show comes out to see what the reception is. I don't know. But I'm curious to see more obscure, because that was another thing. I was like, all these characters exist in the comics, every single one of them. Like Ratcatcher 2, she's real. Javelin's real. Like, and it's just like, that's really cool too, that he picked some of the most D-list characters ever to be in this movie, but they're all close to comic accurate and actually exist. That's kind of cool. So I am excited for the Peacemaker show to see
They
like
should be
who he pulls.
like getting those like D character superheroes and stuff like that, because like we've seen the A-list ones, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. Now we've had all the Avengers. We've seen them. We're seeing them constantly. We know who they are. That's why we're always like, oh, another Batman one. You're more interested in the actor who's playing it than the actual like Batman film. Because I never hear anybody talk about the actual like Batman and how it's the comic or anything like that. It's always about the actor. By the way, Jonathan, when you have your thing blurred like that, you look like it's haunted behind you. You look like you got like
there is a lot of dark spots
looming over you. They're just like this, like, and you like move around so that one over your right shoulder, like will adjust, and it's like I'm suspicious. See, yeah, see. So I'm like watching it. I'm like distracted
That's
by
the effect I was going for. Because I also don't have any lights on except for my ring light, so that's also adds to it as well.
I will say, it's completely dark. I agree with you, Alex. That yeah, it's like we've seen, and this does also prove my point when I have my complaints with Batman movies as of late. In that, not the recent one. The recent one is going to be the first test of time, for my theory. But I'm tired of seeing the Joker. And whenever I say that, people are like, why? But the Joker is awesome. And I'm like, the Joker is a great villain. But we have had nonstop Joker since The Dark Knight. It's been Heath Ledger Joker. Joaquin Phoenix did a whole Joker movie. Joker's prevalent in the Harley Quinn show. He's been in the Suicide Squad. He's everywhere. I'm tired of seeing him. Like, there's 1,000 other Batman villains you could pull from.
But
And the
he's the most
argument,
iconic one. Why do you think we
Yeah,
have
but
800 million Cinderellas?
I'm just saying, it's like the argument I get a lot on pushback on that is like, well, the Joker's his arch nemesis. So I'm like, okay, but if you write other Batman villains really well, people will want to see them too, like Penguin or Catwoman or Poison Ivy or any of the other ones.
I like the Penguin. I like some
Yeah,
of the
Penguin's cool. He's gonna be in the new movie, the new Batman movie they're working on with Robert Pattinson. They got Colin Farrell as Penguin. They also got I'm excited for the new Batman
I
because
don't
it's
think
like unique villains.
don't I don't think that'll end up being as good though with Colin.
I'm willing to
Wait,
give it a shot because it looks like a different type of penguin. It's not like
well,
the traditional like wah 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 penguin. It's
that's
like
what I'm saying. That's what I like about that penguin. He's basically cosplaying as a penguin while doing villainous stuff. And like this one will probably be like a little bit more attractive and then be
oh
like that's
no, they've already shown the makeup. He looks ugly.
you say
They like
that, but
made up.
I'm on TikTok and I've seen the things people like go over and it's you cannot deter people on the internet.
That's true. But it's like it looks good. I'm excited for this new Batman movie though, because Riddler's the main villain, and it's like good. I'm tired of seeing Joker. I would take anybody else. Riddler, Scarecrow, Bane again. Like I don't care. I'll take any of the other ones over Joker for right now. Like let Joker rest. Okay. We have so many more we've never seen on film done right. It'd be nice to see them. You know, and this movie is like taking some of the most D-list of D-list characters and made them characters you care about and characters you want to see in more films. Like I want to see Idris Elba's Bloodsport in more
He was good.
DC movies.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's like I didn't even miss Will Smith as Deadshot after Idris Elba's Bloodsport was on, because originally it was going to be Will Smith. James Gunn did want to get Will Smith back, but he was busy.
I didn't actually like his character in Suicide Squad. I didn't actually like it because he was kind of, I don't know, there's just something about him being as Will Smith and who he is. I didn't feel like he connected with the character enough because the guy's supposed to be, psychopath, just a murderer, like he cares about his kid, but this is supposed to be a cold-blooded murder as well. And then knowing it didn't feel like he should have played him really.
It's that Will Smith doesn't play villains well. He never has. Like he's just not. He has too much charisma, and then also the projects he picks. Like clearly, he likes being the hero character. He doesn't play a good bad guy.
I think that's what it was. He tried to make is it Killshot? Deadshot. He tried to make Deadshot into kind of a hero in that film because he's doing it for his daughter, and then he makes his buddy relationship with like Harley Quinn, and he's trying to keep everybody together. So I think he tried to make that character a hero, and that's one of the reasons I didn't end up liking him in that film. Actually, that film was kind of stupid. My favorite thing from that film is when I was helping, we had a press showing at the Science Center, and I got to watch it with them. And then as we're leaving, I had like somebody who, works with the conventions, and I think it was GeekCon or something like that. And they were trying to
GirlCon?
There we go. Yeah. It was Geek Girl Con. Yeah. They're like, oh, what'd you think of the movie? I'm like, I enjoyed the film. They're like, did you though? And I'm like, I can't really say anything because I work here. And they're like, it was awful. And I'm like, I still can't say anything, but I'm not saying you're wrong. Because I'm like, I work here, and depending on who, like, I need people to come to the theater, bad movie or not. I kind of need you to pay my
still be here.
Yeah, because I gotta work. So I don't want to say yes, but at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, I will say Idris Elba feels or rather, it's not just Idris Elba, but it's also the writing of this movie versus the last one. And this was my point, and I said it to a friend of mine, and they were like, "Oh, that makes so much more sense of why I like this one more." Is that the first Suicide Squad movie treats them like anti-heroes or superheroes, and this movie treats them like supervillains, which is what they are. They're bad guys. They don't care about people. They don't care about saving a town. I mean, they'll do it because, you know, we have to root for them. But when it comes to like murdering people in the most vicious ways possible, they will not bat an eye to slaughter an entire town of people if they have
which
to.
there was a scene where it shows that they do that. No, there is a scene where they show them just basically slaughtering a certain area.
Yeah, for
well, even
fun
the
at
end,
that. Like for
there was a
fun. It's not
moment-
even because they have to do it that way. They're just like,
That's true.
let's
They
have
were-
fun.
they were kind of showing others. They're like, look what I can do, and look how I can, you know, kill. And during the end too, there's a moment where, you know, they could have done the better for humanity and stuff like that, but instead they use it as a way for their own gain, and like it's kind of a security net. And you know, you bother me again, this is what's going to happen. So they did do that, and Idris Elba's characters even points it out, like, hey, I know this would have been better if we went this route, but like, I want to go tomorrow. I want to do something else tomorrow. So like, this is the route I'm going. So it kind of shows us like, it's not about the world. It's about the fact that I want to do something tomorrow, and the only way I'm going to do it if I have this over their heads. And I was like, that's fair. That's awful, but that's fair. So yeah, okay, now I kind of agree with you. It's the way they were good villains or anti-heroes in the way that you were able to kind of understand the craziness they were using. It wasn't an emotional thing, but, or at least for me, but then again, my brain, I understand, is wired differently. It was a survival thing. They did what they had to do to survive. And like, it seems cold and heartless, but I'm like, oh yeah, I can get that. Like, you gotta survive till tomorrow, and sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I think that was another thing in the film. They didn't make the survival part an emotional thing. That was another thing I kind of disconnected from the first Suicide Squad, because Diablo, was that the guy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, went all like, oh, I'm gonna sacrifice myself for everybody so you guys can fight for tomorrow, and then all this stuff. And it was just like, you just met these people. They've kind of been treating you like crap. I would have ran. Like, fuck them all.
Which, funny enough, think about the Will Smith thing. It reminds me that apparently Will Smith was also in talks to play Django in Django Unchained. And he turned that movie down because he didn't like the fact that it was like, it wasn't like a movie where Django was doing it for love, but rather that it, like, or at least the first half of it at the very least, is kind of like I'm a black man who's been like a slave. I'm gonna hunt down white people as a bounty hunter because to get some, you know, well-due revenge, and save my wife too. But also like I'm gonna enjoy killing these white people. And Will Smith was like, I wanted it to be like a hero thing, and I'm like, this is why you should not have been hired to be Deadshot, because you can't play gritty characters. Like, not that he's not a good enough actor to do it. It's just that's not in his wheelhouse. That's not kind of the character he's good at playing.
No, he tries to turn them into heroes, and sometimes there's a difference. I guess in my brain, I can understand it to being what he wanted to what I'm thinking about, because he wanted to just have a moment with his daughter, and I get that, and that's, I think, what he was using as the hero tactic, because it's always like, I'm doing it for my, you know, child, or this or that. For me, I'm a huge, again, because I understand it's the way my brain is wired and everything I've been through. It, for me, a lot of things is survival instinct of like, you just gotta get to tomorrow. You have to do what you have to do. I'm rewiring my brain. You got to do what you got to do just to get to tomorrow. And I felt like with the way the villains in this film were supposed to be, that's how they were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad had that mentality, and so did Boomerang. I didn't like him, but Boomerang even had that mentality.
Surprisingly, I was excited to see him in this movie, and I was hoping that he'd be in it more. But yeah, I was sad that he wasn't in it more. I was like, you know what? I'm actually legitimately excited to see you, Jai Courtney. And this is a first.
I don't think I had any emotions in seeing him. I was just like, hey, you're here. Okay. They definitely had the I'm gonna get out of this and screw them, like survival instinct. And I think that resonated with me more. Same with this film. They had the survival instinct of like, all right, yeah, we'll do what you say, but we're gonna also figure out a way to escape. It's like that's what we do. Um, when Will Smith character did not do any of that, he's like, oh, I'll work through the system. I'll do my daughter. You could have left it just like taking your kid with you and gone. You all could have just disappeared into the night because you're a highly trained assassin. So
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to mention also is Harley Quinn was great in this movie. In the Suicide Squad. Heck, in the middle of the movie, she gets her own like short film.
She does.
Where she kills the dude. And I was like, that was probably my favorite part of the movie. I wasn't expecting that. And when it happened, because I thought she was gonna, tag team with this dude and run the whole thing. But when she just
I was so proud of her. That made me so happy.
A good moment, and it made a whole lot of sense. Like they do a great job of like setting up her backstory. That if you haven't seen Birds of Prey or the first Suicide Squad movie, it still gives you enough context if you know the character to be like, oh, I know what she's talking about. That makes sense. It was really good.
That's also what I mean with my brain. You can in this film, each one of those villains, you can see the trauma of their past life affect who they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a normal thing because I understand I do that shit. And sometimes I say stuff from my past, and people will give you this look. Like I said something to you guys about getting into a fight with somebody, and then I was like, wait, no, it wasn't like that. Let me rephrase. Shit comes out of my mouth, and I forget that it's not a normal thing. And I felt like that was the actual Suicide Squad and how they handled it. And I was like, okay, but see, that's how villains are created. All that shit gets. That's how they're supposed to. And like in the first Suicide Squad, I really hate that they just added that. That is still bothering. They like didn't do any of that other than like Harley Quinn was just like abusive boyfriend, of course, but also jerk. But I think this film was much better, and it was much more colorful. And of course, with the director who he was, there was random 80s music and fight scenes, of course, where they really just rocked out.
This is more, was it 80s music or was this like indie? Because I feel like some of this music sounds like it came from like the 90s or the 2000s, but it was like indie music, like music you wouldn't normally think about.
I might have just been associating with the 80s music because we were listening to a lot of old school styles going on.
Yeah, too. Jonathan had, the whole time we were in LA, Jonathan had what I like to call Jonathan's R&B radio station, just jamming with his R&B hits that he enjoys. And mostly Justin Timberlake.
No,
that was not. That was too much.
I do not. This was the algorithm. It just decided to play Justin Timberlake. I do not have that much Justin Timberlake on my. I think I maybe listened to like one Justin Timberlake song a year. So I'm not sure why it decided to play Justin Timberlake.
Saturday. I want to say it was Saturday. It was the same Justin Timberlake song too. We would get in the car and it would just start playing too. It was like one particular song. And it was just like, why is this particular song just playing over and over?
It's true.
But anyway,
so those are our LA adventures. Yeah.
Yes.
And plus like a half Suicide Squad review.
Right. Commentary it was pretty much a full Suicide Squad review at this point.
Yeah, like, we didn't go into too many details in the movie, but I think you get the gist on the things we liked and things we didn't like, which was not much.
Yeah. I also want to call out at our Universal visit, we took the studio tour, and that was really cool to get to experience. They if you haven't been to Universal in like the past,
don't spoil the fun. Are you going to tell them about that one?
I wasn't going to go into detail, but I was just going to say that they've made it so much more interactive. So it's not just the studio tour, but it's actually like multiple rides plus a studio tour as well in one. So it's pretty cool.
It is. It is pretty cool.
You get to see.
And for anybody who rides those rides.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say. For anybody on those rides, remember that none of the rocket launchers that are coming at you are real.
Jerome ducked.
True. Listen, I was so sucked in. I thought it was real. I was engaged the whole time.
I'm surprised you didn't tuck and roll.
But yeah, that's our review of LA and Suicide Squad. We hope you enjoyed this. We will see you all.
If you want to see the visuals of all of this, that video is also coming on YouTube. We'll post on Instagram when that comes out of like our vlogs of our time in LA. So do be on the lookout for that. You can see it firsthand, like with us, of all of our experiences in LA, and plus also some maybe little mini tangents we had on the rides to car rides to some of our places. So
yes,
stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. We'll see you all next week. Where can we find you both on social media? Alex, where can we find you?
You can find me and Rick O'Connell here on.
By the way, we did ride the Mummy ride as well. So
we did, because I was super excited because I love the Mummy. That is my favorite movie. It is just, and I love Brendan Fraser, and he's going to be in a new film with Martin Scorsese.
He's also going to be in Doom Patrol, the season 3 coming out soon. So
really,
Doom Patrol. Well, he's been in Doom Patrol since the first episode, but just new seasons coming out, so I'm super hyped. I'm so excited to see Doom Patrol.
I just like that he's acting again, so I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of him.
Screamed the loudest on that Mummy ride. That was fast.
I think it was a Universal studio in Florida that's supposed to have like a drop down. So at a moment I thought there was going to be a drop down. I actually grabbed both of you guys. I was like ready for it to drop, but apparently it doesn't do it in this one. So I was like, oh, okay.
It just goes backwards. Yeah, in the
it does.
one.
It's a quick, short ride, but it
effective.
Gets you.
Yeah, it's exciting though. It's super exciting.
Oh, the wax museum really quick. I scared a woman. I saw there was a Mummy set we went past, and I saw the little beetles on the floor, and I screamed, and I scared the woman, and then her screaming, I think, or my scream even scared you too.
It's moving. I was like, what the heck? What happened? What?
Yeah, I was like, what's
going on?
I didn't even know. I hadn't even seen the bugs on the floor. I just saw you guys.
Yeah.
I saw Alex, and then I was like, oh, what's going on?
I freaked out. So to that poor woman, I'm sorry. I scared her. She had seen them already too, so she just heard me scream, and I think just all three of you reacted to my scream. So my apologies for that, and I'm so sorry to the random woman. But
where can we find you?
You can find me at Alex and Nobody on Instagram, and then I also handle the TikTok account of The First Ones to Die, which is also the name of all our social media: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the podcast, Twitter, and all that fun stuff, where you can come and find us and see me basically bullying the guys and stuff. What about you, Jerome? Where can we find you?
You can find me at Not Jerome Ret on Instagram, as well as at RoboZoo Media. Just announced, I think, a couple weeks back, Jerome the Show, which is going to be my own little podcast audio thing I've been working on. Do not expect that anytime soon. That's coming in 2022. I put it on the poster and everything. But I'm letting you know now that it's coming. Also, real quick, I wanted to plug my mom just wrote a children's book. It is adorable. It's called Bobbie the Black Sheep. I'll probably put a link where you can buy it and go to her website and purchase it. It's now she's now taking orders. In fact, I think the first shipment from her pre-orders just came in when we talked last. So if you have small children and you listen to this podcast, it's a great book. I have read it, at least the transcript. I haven't gotten mine yet, but like the official book. But it's a great book. It's great for kids' self-esteem and works on talking about kids not feeling so much like outcasts and stuff, and will help with development too as well. She had a psychiatrist come through, and they say it's great for kids. So do get that book if you have small children. I highly recommend it. Not just because she's my mom, but also because it's a great book.
Jonathan, maybe you can do a book review.
Hey, maybe. Well, congrats. And you can find me at Jonathan Keys anywhere you please. Since we're since you brought up your mom, I'll bring up mine. Today's her birthday. So happy birthday,
Aw.
Mom.
Oh, happy birthday!
Happy
shout out.
birthday.
It's a mom episode part 2, Mother's Day episode part 2.
I love my mom. I don't think she has anything going on today. I spoke to her earlier, but yeah. I love my mommy. What do you think?
I think we'll end on that. Anyway, see you all next week and have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.